Hi, I'm Liz Bugg, and I'm here to read from my novel, Red Rover, and talk a little bit about it. Callie Barno is a Toronto private investigator, and one morning she receives a rather stunning phone call from someone she doesn't know. The old school clock on the wall told me I still had at least 10 minutes before Spencer's phone call. I decided to stop second-guessing myself, or Spencer, and try to accomplish something. I checked for phone messages. None. That figured. No possibilities for a paycheck to soften the financial pinch if, or more likely when, I turned down Spencer. My email was almost as barren. Just a thank you from a client, a woman whose ex-husband had dog-napped their poodle. Since pet custody hadn't been written into the divorce settlement, she had no strong legal claim to the animal. But I figured she had a substantial moral claim, since she'd been the one who took all those early walks on dark, frigid mornings. When I tracked down the ex, it worked out with far less fuss than the original divorce. He had started dating a woman who hated dogs, so he'd been trying to contrive a plan to return Fido without losing face or having to encounter his ex-wife. He couldn't just slip the dog back into the condo because the ex-wife had changed the locks. He wasn't cold-hearted or imaginative enough to come up with an alternative. As a result, he was delighted when I arrived and solved his problem. His ex-wife suggested me for sainthood. At 9:31, the call came. I decided to let the phone ring a couple more times before answering it. I didn't want to seem desperate for work or fit too comfortably into Jay Spencer's control parameters. After enough time had passed to make my point, 4 rings to be precise, I raised the phone to my ear and said in my most professional voice, "Barno Investigations, how may I help you?" The male voice on the other end of the line was brusque but polished, and I knew it was Jay Spencer. He asked for Miss Barno. There was no point in pretending I had a secretary, so I admitted that it was me. I wondered for a moment if he might change his mind upon discovering my one-horse act, but no. Without hesitation, he said, "I will be in your office in 10 minutes." He didn't ask if I was free, and he didn't need to add, "and be there this time." It was implied in the dead air between us. My mouth was open to reply when he hung up. I did what came naturally. I stuck out my tongue at the receiver that I was strangling in my left hand. My annoyance with this man had, in the matter of 20 minutes, mushroomed to aversion. After hearing him, I was even more mystified as to why he was considering engaging my services and how he had managed to find me in the first place. It's not like I run an ad in the Globe and Mail. He'd put some effort into locating me, so there'd been strong motivation behind it. I would need motivation just as strong to take this case, and I doubted he could provide me with that. I started to clean my office. I told myself it would burn off some negative energy. What you tell yourself, though, isn't always the truth. I could acknowledge that, but I didn't know what the truth in this situation was. Maybe if I'd sat down and thought about it for a while, I could have figured it out. But I didn't have time. Instead, I pushed clutter into piles, and then when that didn't satisfy me, thrust the piles into file drawers. Spencer was obviously a meticulous man, but that didn't mean I had to impress him with my housekeeping. I didn't even want him as a client. I didn't even do the Molly Maid act for clients I did want. My present actions were automatic, and the more I told myself to stop, the more frantic they became. I had just leaned on the freshly visible surface of the desk to catch my breath when he knocked. I didn't straighten up and head for the door, but my heart started running a steeplechase. The second knock demanded to be answered. I covered the 12 steps to the door in 8, took a deep breath, and turned the knob.